Patricia lay back on the quilt in the guest room, the one with faded sunflowers stitched into it, holding her phone against her cheek. The bed sagged a little too much in the middle, and every time she shifted, the wooden frame creaked like an old man's knees. Her mom was on the line. That soft, overly careful tone she always used when Patricia traveled. "Are you safe? Did you lock the car? Do you remember you have allergies?" Patricia tried to answer each question without rolling her eyes, because if she rolled her eyes, her mom would hear it. Somehow. "Yes, Mom. I'm fine. I told you Katie's place is nice. It's very farmy." Patricia glanced toward the lace curtains. Beyond them was a stretch of fields, black in the late September dark. No porch light, no distant neighbors, just the vague outline of a barn and the squeak of crickets that never seemed to shut up. Her mother sighed, heavy and dramatic, like she'd just been handed bad news by a doctor. "Farmy how? You mean it's clean, right? You know I worry about mold in basements. Remember your sinuses last spring?" Patricia rubbed her eyes. "I'm not sleeping in the basement, Mom." "Still, farms can be musty. And you didn't tell me Katie lived all the way out there." Patricia almost laughed. Her mom had never met Katie, never even been to this part of the county, but she said out there like Patricia had joined a wagon train. "It's fine," Patricia repeated. She's really happy I came. I think she gets lonely out here." That was the truth. Katie had been her best friend in high school, clingy in a way Patricia used to find flattering, someone who always laughed at her jokes, who saved her a seat, who texted too many times in a row if Patricia didn't respond. It was a friendship that burned hot, and then, after graduation, cooled when Patricia went off to college. She hadn't thought much about it until Katie started messaging again last year, practically begging her to visit. Now here she was, on this lumpy sunflower quilt, trying to reassure her mother while simultaneously convincing herself she hadn't made a mistake. Her mom droned on about safe driving, about how dark country roads could be, and Patricia pressed the phone to her ear, but let her attention drift. The room smelled faintly of lavender sachets and dust. On the dresser sat an old ceramic doll with one chipped eye. The whole place had the kind of sweetness that turned sour if you thought about it too long. And then something. A tiny shadow interrupted the sliver of light under the door. Patricia sat up straighter. She didn't hear footsteps, but the air changed, the way it does when you realize you're not as alone as you thought. "Patty? Are you listening?" her mom asked. "Yeah, Patricia hesitated, staring at the door. The knob didn't move, but she had the prickling sense that an eye was pressed to the keyhole, watching. She cleared her throat. "Sorry, Mom. Just tired." "Well, don't drink too much if you go out," her mother warned, as if she could smell the Merlot from 2 counties away. "I won't." They hung up. Patricia left the phone on the nightstand and just sat there for a moment listening. Nothing. No creak of floorboards, no footsteps retreating. When she finally opened the door, the hallway was empty. Downstairs, Katie was in the kitchen, leaning against the counter with that bright, toothy smile. Too bright. "Everything okay?" she asked. Patricia forced a laugh. "Yeah, just my mom being my mom. She heard we're in farm country and decided I'm going to die of mold inhalation." Katie laughed too, though a beat too late, like she had to think about it first. Her eyes flicked to Patricia's face, then down to the floor, then back again. "You know," Katie said softly, "I'm really glad you came. I don't get a lot of visitors." Patricia smiled, but there was an edge to Katie's voice that made her stomach flutter. She looked at the clock on the wall. Nearly 8. She thought about telling Katie she should head home tonight. Long drive, work tomorrow, all the usual excuses. But Katie's hopeful look pinned her down. Instead, Patricia changed the subject. "So, you hungry?" Katie's grin widened. "I was thinking we could go out. There's this place in town. They have amazing burgers and drinks." The way she said drinks made it sound like a promise. At the tavern. The place Katie drove them to was called Miller's Tavern, though calling it in town was generous. It was a squat brick building on a lonely road, neon beer signs buzzing in the windows. Inside, the lights were low, and the smell of fried food clung to the walls. Patricia slid into a booth, while Katie waved at the bartender like they were old friends. "2 whiskeys," Katie said without asking. Patricia raised her eyebrows. "Starting strong?" Katie winked. "It's a celebration." "You're here?" The drinks came fast, amber liquid catching the light. Patricia told herself she'd only have one. Then Katie ordered another round and another, punctuating each with little toasts to best friends, to old times, to never leaving again. Patricia laughed too loud, the sound bouncing off the wood paneling. She felt warm and dizzy. Katie, though, only grew sharper, more intent. Her cheeks flushed, but her words stayed smooth. Her eyes locked on Patricia like she was memorizing every expression. "You ever think about how people just disappear?" Katie asked suddenly, leaning close. Patricia blinked. "Disappear?" "Yeah. 1 minute you're friends, next minute they're gone. Off to college, off to the city, forgetting all about you." Her tone was light, but her fingers tightened around her glass. Patricia shifted in her seat. "Katie dash dash." Katie cut her off with a laugh. "I'm kidding." "Don't look so serious. Drink up." And Patricia did, because it was easier than asking questions. The rest of the night blurred. Patricia remembered the taste of greasy fries, the heat of whiskey burning her throat, Katie's hand brushing hers across the table. She remembered trying to stand and nearly toppling, Katie's arm sliding around her waist, steadying her. She remembered the cold air outside and the sound of crickets again, so loud it hurt. The last clear image. Katie's smile in the dark, close enough to touch. Then nothing. Patricia woke to the hum of a light bulb, the smell of damp concrete, rust and dust. Her head pounded. She pushed herself upright and realized she was sitting on a cold floor. In front of her, bars, a cage. Her breath caught in her throat. She scrambled backward until her shoulder blades hit the wall. The cage wasn't big, just tall enough to sit up in, barely wide enough to lie down. Katie's voice floated out of the shadows, sweet as ever. "Good morning, Patty." Patricia's chest heaved. What is this?" Katie stepped into the light but stayed just far enough away that the bars framed Patricia instead of her. Her smile was beatific, like a saint in a painting. "I know this is scary," Katie said softly, "but you'll understand. This is the best thing for you. I love you, and I can finally take care of you the way I was meant to." Patricia's skin crawled. She wanted to scream, but the sound caught in her throat. Upstairs, faintly, the TV was on. A news anchor's voice carried down the stairwell. Patricia Callahan, last seen with her best friend Katie Wilkes at Miller's Tavern. Family and friends are urging anyone with information to come forward. Patricia pressed her palms against the bars. She couldn't breathe. The world above was looking for her, calling her missing, already writing her into a headline. Down here, Katie just looked at her with shining eyes, waiting. "You never would have stayed, Patty," Katie whispered. "You always leave. Everybody leaves. But now you can't."